What's the deal, people? It's your boy Jay. Y'all stop it. Hey, we got another reaction coming to you. This is the I found some video. It's a guy that's interviewing different people who've been overseas fighting in the war and everything. And this happened to be a Long Beach. I'm gonna say he's a Crip. I hadn't watched it, but by his attire, I believe that's what he is. That went over and fought for the country. And I remember a lot of folks that used to say, hey, send them gangsters over there since they want to shoot and kill all the time. So, I guess that's what they did. So let's see what happened in his point of view. Y'all make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. And the original link to the video will be down in the description if you want to watch it with Damon. But what would you do that for? When you can watch it with me, baby. And y'all remember we in this thing together, so let's run it up and get these numbers up, all right? Other than that, I ain't even gonna hold y'all off. One more side thing. I'm eating my lunch right now, so I'll probably be eating while we watching this. I mean, hell, you eat while you watch movies and junk, so let me do my thing too. I done seen people drinking when they doing reaction video, but this ain't no ASMR, because I can't stand hear nobody eat, so you won't hear none of that. But other than that, let's get into it. I ain't gonna hold y'all no longer, all right?
I worked closely with the sergeant major, and he was into everything. This man did sit down. He was tabbed out. He reminded me of a crime boss. He is dangerous. He'll go out with Alpha Platoon, Bravo Platoon, Charlie Platoon. Go here, go here. So we in a mix. I'm talking about every troops in contact. He was right there with me on the line. We shooting, returning fire, ID, hit the vehicle, keep going, you okay? The window cracked, keep going. Like, he was very decorated, but he didn't care at all. I no longer gave a fuck if I lived or died. I knew I was good at my job. I knew the time was coming, and I knew I wanted a warrior's death. So I was just waiting for that time. When that time never happened, I come home and I lost a lot of good guys. I'm like, why am I still here? Is there anybody out there that can take me out? Like, I'm ready. I run hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of missions. It's not like I hid inside the wire. If I don't get help, I'm gonna destruct. I contemplated suicide 4 times. I didn't no longer want to be here because I got a lot of guys that's not here, including guys that came back, that were good warriors, that killed themselves doing suicide. People that came back that never came back. My name is J.R. McIntyre. Branch of service is United States Army. In the years I served was from 2002 to 2016. I got out Staff Sergeant promotable. I'm from Long Beach, California, born and raised. We grew up in 101st and Avalon in a heavily gang-infested drug outfit out there in Los Angeles. And then my dad thought it was right for us to go to Long Beach Unified School Districts, where the gangs were just the same. It was just different. We were integrated with Compton, integrated with Long Beach, East Side, North Side, Long Beach, all these gangs, Mexican gangs, black gangs, all these situations. It was a crazy, crazy time in the 80s, crazy times in the 90s. Grew up rough and tough, understanding not to walk against traffic, understanding the gang lingo. I joined my hood when I was in the 3rd grade, got put on. We already knew where we wanted to be from. We already knew, it was already inside of us. We knew that we had a good group of boys growing up that we thought we was gonna be friends forever, and we decided we was gonna be from North Long Beach and our clique and our set and everything like that. So,
what about the gang culture made you want to be a part of that at that time?
that's all I saw. I saw it from my family members, from friends, from the toughest, from the hardest. Everything that was promoted around me was gangs, and knowing how to navigate through that situation and what type of gang member you wanted to be. Like, it's a lot of ones that are loud. I'm not loud. It was a lot of ones that are smart, a lot of ones that are business, a lot of ones that like to dress. So inside of the gangs, it's not just people that are just super tough. You have people in different echelons. People don't understand as a member in affiliation, you know what you want to be and how you want to be. But no matter what, the main objective is hold your own. So everybody kind of pretty much knew how to fight and hold their own. And I was a good fighter. So learning about how my mom had AIDS was very difficult for me because I didn't understand. I don't know what that is. I'm a little boy. I knew that she was dying. I knew it was something like cancer, but AIDS were new. It was new to to the generation where we were from in the 80s and 90s. It hit the crack epidemic and the AIDS epidemic, I think, hit around the same time. Not only were our parents was on drugs, they had AIDS. So my mom she was abusing crack cocaine too at the same time. My mama also was part of a gang. So my mom she was one of the toughest women I knew. So I saw that at an early age. She lived on Skid Row. She went to the 12-step programs to try to get help, halfway houses. I saw all that with her. I thought nobody cared. I thought I was the only one without a mom. And I think about 2 weeks later, one of my friends, their mom had passed too. So then we bonded. Like, you don't have a mom, I don't have a mom. So we have something in common. But it sucked because it took a lot of my affection out, right? How to love, how to hug, how to find who really cares. I was really tough. My dad was really militant. So there was not a lot of like hugs or love. You know, my dad, now he does do that. But back then it was like he got to raise his boy tough, because once he sends us to school, he got to make sure we come home safe. And in order to do that, you got to make sure that I know how to hold my own. I really hung out with my homies that were gangbanging when I was at school. So when I came home, I came home. And then, my neighborhood friends, they wasn't like that. They would play basketball. They was good athletes. I had a couple of them that was from Compton hoods and stuff like that. But I was like the negotiator. I was the one that kept everybody in line. So hanging out with them at school, ain't nobody influenced me to do anything. Like, I would fight every day, but I'm not fighting because of behalf of what you said or what you're telling me. I'm holding my own because that's who I am. But as I got older, in my middle school, that's when you started seeing the division where the gangs would separate, where it's black against Mexican. And we shut our whole middle school down twice. The police riots, police had to come, the bus stops. Like, we started that morning. It was a fight against a female black chick and a Mexican girl on Long Beach Boulevard in Artesia at our bus stop. She was from Old Hood. All her family was from Old Hood, Crip. They was from, I think they was from Northside Longos or something like that. Had a fight, something happened. We all stepped in to protect, and that spilled over to the middle school, shutting down the whole middle school twice. And then after that, that same division shut down our high school twice. Like, I'm talking about race on race, full, like the county jail. And that's where I think that temperature came from, is from the jail, because we grew up with the same boys. We were cool. But once we got to know each other and we got to middle school, there was a division. You chose a side, you stuck with it. You know what I'm saying? I lost a lot of good homies, you know what I'm saying? In middle school, my homie, he was Hispanic. Roger Hernandez, lived on the same street, got killed at a house party. And he was Mexican. I loved him to death. You know what I'm saying? He lived in the 6 houses down from me. And that was the first death I saw of gang violence of another ethnicity, that it brought the neighborhood together. Shout out to his family, Roger. He didn't ask for that, but he was there with the wrong people, running with the wrong tribe. I'm glad I had a good father that after I left school, you ain't hanging out at night like that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of my homies got killed that night. Shout out to Hershey Loke. He got killed when I was in the 9th grade. We heard the sirens. It was in the neighborhood. They don't know who did it, but, everybody came to school, back to school with some type of aggression and some type of get back. We don't know what happened, but, seeing the big homies hang out on the boulevards, at the liquor stores and stuff like that, that's what we wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? And we had to protect ourselves at an early age. So I knew how to have self-aware. I knew how to have, my eyes open at all times, make sure I'm around the right type of people and stuff like that. Even though the haters were out there, it taught me a lot growing up with the gangs and protecting myself. I didn't have a big sister that she was gang affiliated too, so she would teach me too. I saw a lot. Like I said, I saw a lot growing up in my city in North Long Beach. I got in this horrible fight where this dude pulled scissors on me, rusty scissors, because it was a misinterpretation that I was trying to protect one of the homies that was playing basketball. He was a gang affiliated, but that's my best friend. So they tried to attack him at Star King Elementary School. So, I had his back, whatever. So they summoned me, back to the hood to come talk about it. So I talk about it. And one of the dudes that had a discrepancy pulled rusty scissors on me and tried to attack me. And I had to, I won, but I came back to the house and my grandmother already knew. She's like, "What happened to you? Let me see your hands." Because you always say, "Let me see your hands." So I showed her my hands. They was all scarred up, and she would try to heal me back before my dad got off work. My dad would get off work like around 6, 7 o'clock at night. Boy, you know, your daddy, let me, put the aloe vera on it, put the Vaseline, let me wrap you up, make sure you was good. My grandma was on it. She was like, because your dad's gonna have a fit. What are you doing out here? I said, Grandma, I had to protect myself. He tried to stab me with scissors. They tried to set me up, so I had to hold my own. So I got into some minor incidents with the law. And then right before I joined the military, I went to county jail for about 40-something days because I had my daughter and I had discrepancies with her side of the family that was from a different hood. And then he was affiliated with some Bloods, and we got into it. And it was assault charge. And they caught me slipping at the barbershop. The police was called. And the police didn't take them in jail. They took me to jail because I had a warrant for some tickets. But I did also some assault. So I sat in there. And from there, I just, I cried because I'm like, I don't want to be in here. This place not for me. The first couple of days in there, I had fights with some Hispanics because I touched the wrong phone. And I went through it, learning quick, learning fast, learning that this ain't for me. And 2 weeks after I got out of jail, I enlisted in the United States military. What put the military in my mind was like, my father was always on me, join the Navy, join the Navy, join the Navy. And I didn't want to. I was rebelling. I rebelled twice. And when I sat behind them bars without my daughter, she was less than 1 year old, I just thought about it. So when I got out, I went straight to the Army recruiter and I got it cracking and I left. When you want to leave? I want to leave now. I don't want to be a part of this no more. You know what I'm saying? And I was being told that I shouldn't go fight. Back then, don't go fight the white man's army. You need to stay here. And that was the rhetoric that my OGs and my uncles and everybody was telling me, encouraging me not to go into the military. But that was the best decision I could ever make. Man. So back then the recruiters were they worked very fast. Ironically, I had a Hispanic recruiter. He was dope. No holds bar. I failed the test twice. And when I came back and passed it, he was like, hey, we're going to just get you out of here. I didn't even know what MOS, I didn't know what to look for. Anything. I just wanted to be gone. But I enlisted as a 13th Fox, fire support, like an Anglico for the Marines, and dropping bombs. And I just wanted to get out of here, leave. My dad finally let me come back to the house because he put me out. I was homeless for a little bit. I was sleeping in my car, all that, because he wasn't having it. My dad was tough. He wanted to make sure I got the attention I needed. Like, hey, you're not listening to me. You're not coming back here. But my mom, Lucy, my stepmom, she was the sensitive side. I was like, hey, Joel, let that boy come back home. This way before my little brother was born. Let him. He's going into the Army. So I stayed with them for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I left. They took me to downtown Los Angeles to the hotel, and I stayed there for a day, and then they got me out of there to go to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I had a hard transition in basic training. I was fighting every day. Day 0, I fought. We had a whole little slap boxing competition because it rained out for like the last 2 days, and we didn't start the days we were supposed to because it was thunderstorms, it was raining. So we was put away into the barracks, about 200 soldiers waiting for in processing. So we're fighting, and, just thugging it out. And then once I got to my platoon and got my hair cut and got situated to the group of guys I was going to be in, 280 Bravo, we treated our platoon like it was a little gang. It was crazy because I was a ringleader. It was 2 of us one was from the East Coast, one was from the West Coast. But we kept us squared away. We march around with our pride on our chest, walk through people formation. We didn't care. Fighting in the laundry room. I almost got kicked out of basic training 3 times. And the last time was like 2 weeks before I was about to graduate. And my drill sergeant Climbs came to me. He was like, hey, look at me. And I looked at him. And he was like, you want to go back? You want to go back? And I get emotional because I remember it. You want to go back to the hood? You want to go back you told me your story. You want to go back? I'm going to send you back. I'm about to do the paperwork right now. You're going to go back. You're going to be a nobody. And I broke down, cried. I don't want to go back because I already knew what to expect. I can't go back and I'm embarrassed my dad. So I acted right. And I graduated from from Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I went into AIT as a fister and learned my job. But basic training was crazy. It taught me everything I needed to know. But I resisted for a little bit. I fought. And I was a smart soldier. PT, strong, shoot, all these things. But I was treating it like it was nothing until I learned that I needed to be here. This is what I needed to go through. And it was just the beginning of my journey. I didn't learn patriotism until 2 weeks before deployment. So I think that's the biggest thing is I wasn't a patriot yet. I learned all the skills I needed to learn, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even know we was going to Iraq, my first duty deployment. But I learned a patriot, how to be a patriot and a good American, and what, as a black man fighting for our country, looked like. So. Well, when 9/11 happened, I was on the west side of Long Beach, and I had my daughter. She was born already. I was holding her. I was watching her. Her mom was at work already. I was a bum. I wasn't doing anything with my life. I had stopped going to community college, selling weed, going to school. And I was just sitting there. I would watch my daughter while her mother go to work. I woke up and I started seeing repeated commercials that I thought of planes hitting buildings, and it was on every channel, and I'm changing every channel. And I'm like, is this real? So I call her mom, and she was like, yeah, this is real. Then I call my dad. You see what's going on? This is real. And I sat up in the bed holding Jaden, and I'm looking at the TV, and I said, this can't be happening to where I'm from. So I took the same hood aspect and adopted it with the military aspect and said, I'm going to help fight. How can I go do that? So that's when I started to think the next day, see my transition, talk to a recruiter, get the ball rolling. I didn't leave right after that, but just to get the ball rolling, because I didn't leave until July 23rd, 2002. So got the ball rolling, did what I had to do, failed the test, waited 6 months, took it again, all these things, and then was able to get into the Army after jail. So my first duty station was Germany. It was cold. I got there in January 7, 2003. It was cold. Didn't speak German, so spreche Sie Deutsch. We had to learn how to speak just a little bit of Deutsch to understand. Went through all these classes. I was scared. Got hazed a little bit with the fisters, tied up, spanked on that. All these weird things they did to you, you know what I'm saying, to welcome you to the unit. And then we started to train in the cold, in Graff, in Hornsville. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. I ain't never been in no stuff like this. But on the weekends, we would go party and have fun. And that's where I would meet. I met a lot of good dudes, a lot before we went to our first deployment. And we became friends for life. You know, a lot of us are still friends. But that first duty station was a wake up call, running in the cold with shorts on, T-shirts, head burning, getting acclimated, learning, understand. You're a real soldier now. You ain't nowhere to go. So it was a different beast for me. Now I left another war in the city where I came from, and I'm preparing for another war. Man, finding out that I was getting ready to go to Iraq was something I predicted. I knew that I might get called up. We didn't know it was going to be our unit, but we see the news. We know what's going on. The towers just fell. People are already in Afghanistan. When is your time being called? So when my time got called and they told us we had orders, it was like, okay, let's go get this done. Not knowing what we was walking into was so different. But I remember discovering patriotism 2 weeks right before we was leaving. Those of you guys know that the flag goes off in the morning and at nighttime. And at them times when the flag goes off, you got to stop and salute it. We would run from the flag. We running into the barracks. We don't want to salute this flag. And we ran in. It was like 7 of us privates. And Sergeant First Class McDonald, shout out to him. He was a supply sergeant, black dude. He yelled at us. We went in one way. He circled back another way. Get your butt outside. Get outside. And we start smacking him. Get outside. So we go outside. Get up, parade rest. Get up, parade rest. He gave us a speech like it was Buffalo Soldier Tuskegee style of being an African American soldier, disrespecting the flag and protecting the home where you come from and where you welcome. And by the time he was done with us, all of us was crying, walked into the barracks, hugged each other, and said, "Hey, we don't know if we're gonna make it back. This is some real stuff." So that was the very first time I took pride in saluting that flag with honor and knowing what I was going to go do. And I'm glad I did that, because when I stepped foot into Iraq, it was a different beast. Shout out to some of the guys that was out with me when we got that speech, because some of them didn't make it back. I'm wearing one of them on my wrist right now. My first deployment to Iraq was crazy because we flew into Kuwait. We had to train. A lot of United States military would train at these camps in Kuwait and get us ready. Those who weren't ready, you still gonna have to go across that border, but we would do, practice drills, rock drills, and all these things, and then we have to leave in chalks. So, I remember the day before we got our chalk and we was about to leave. We were privates, and I'm talking about, I knew hundreds of privates. So we in the MWR tent, we getting ready. We talking about what fob you going to, what fob you going to, and all of us are getting split up. All the friends are getting split up. So we just said a quick prayer and, told each other that we love them and we'll see you soon. There was no phones like that or social media. There was only Yahoo Messenger. So we had each other's Yahoo Messenger that we would try to, once we got internet, we would make sure we connected. And that was a different whole little experience too, because reaching out to your family doing the MWR tent, you only have 30 minutes to use a phone on the internet to try to call back home. And during them times, there were, you'd be waiting in line to use a phone. And I remember vividly a sergeant first class just crying in front of me on the phone because his wife took everything from him the moment he got to Kuwait. And, the heart that I have in me, I let him have my time, another 30 minutes to try to figure out the things, that he was dealing with. Cause I wasn't going through that. You had a whole family. You was married. You was E7, like you seasoned. I'm just a private, like I'm the lowest on the totem pole. So, doing all that in Kuwait. And then we start our transition, 36-hour drive, no doors, sandbags to Iraq, to our prospective FOBs, driving down MSR Tampa. It's a main supply route from Kuwait through Baghdad, hitting all these checkpoints, going to the FOBs, which we landed at FOB Summerall in Beiji, Iraq. Just to secure that town, it was insurgents that was taking over that town, Beiji. So we had the people that was in front of us, I think it was 4th ID, that was left seat, right seated. They was getting their butt kicked. So they were there, the invasion, and then we were just, trading out, left seat, right seat. So we left seat, right seat, got the mission on the AO, the area of responsibility, and see what we had to do. For me still, as a private, I'm listening, I'm looking at all the rock drills. I'm just part of a plan. I'm not making a plan. So the colonels and the sergeant majors and the captains and the first sergeants, all these guys are all tapped in. So they needed one platoon, an extra platoon to be made, which was us. We would call it the Rat Pack. And we would do all the dirty missions. First of all, some of our missions were protected the main supply route of all the trucks, the diesel fuel that needed to be transitioned from Baghdad back to us, back to Mosul. So we had that mission for a couple of months and ran into a bunch of troops in contact, small arm fires, IED explosions. And back then, you hit IED. If your truck wasn't disabled, you keep it going. If it was disabled, you call in, change trucks, and keep it going. There was no everybody's whole mission shut down. No, you keep it going. So, that was one of our main missions. And after that, we started to run with Alpha and Bravo, do different missions with them, and having meetings with the Sheikh inside the cities, and it's still being attacked until one day one of our Charlie companies got attacked real bad, and Sergeant Mallet lost his head. God bless him, and Enos, and I think 3 or 4 people died that day. And our colonel decided to turn that some of that city into a parking lot. We dropped JDMs on that whole city. They were responding to troops in contact to a police station that was being overran, and they hit the scene first. And when they hit the scene, they got ambushed. And then here we come, and seeing all this stuff, it was crazy. Just seeing young soldiers. I was young, so seeing other young soldiers die, seeing other older men die in combat. It was different experience. But the next few hours we back out there. So we have no time to mourn. We have no time for anything. We would eat, hit the gym, and we back out there looking for the people who did that to us. So yeah. And we had to be tough about it too. And if you did cry or if you did show type of emotion, they would send you to S3. So, and that's operations, because they thought you was mission unfit if you had a lot of difficult emotions. So I did 55 months in combat. So that first tour was an eye opener. Even for me, coming back from doing crazy missions, being blown up, being shot, all these things that we've been through and seeing it and all these missions. Then when you get back, I need the lowest soldier on the totem pole. I used to burn shit. So after every mission, I had a 2-week detail of burning shit. So we, with the JP8 oil, poured fuel in, stir it, and this was thousands of soldiers' shit. So not only that I'm dealing with shit outside the wire, I'm coming inside the wire and I'm dealing with all this crazy stuff and it was unhumane. But somebody had to do it. Who else? The lowest soldier. I was an E2, E3. So people talk about PTSD and all these things. I've been through a lot. So I did a lot of troops in contact. We returned fire, took fire, all these things. It was never one incident that said, okay, that was it. So, but one I could talk about when we lost Specialist Josh Henry. We got attacked from 360. We was at the low ground. They was at the high ground. Every truck had a fight. And, he got hit. He was the driver. And we didn't think that it was, it was vital. He gave us a thumbs up after he got hit, and then the medevac came, and he said he would be okay. And hours later, we get a call that he didn't make it. And that really fucked our heads up, because it was like, he said he was okay, but the bullet traveled. Man, Josh loved the gym. Him and, I forgot his best friend's name, but he was a good dude at the heart. He would talk to he was a specialist, all the soldiers, make sure they was good. He just was a good dude overall. So, rest in peace, Josh Henry. Yeah. Just even getting ready to come home. And I remember 2 weeks vividly that we would check each other on Yahoo Messenger, check on all of us. Remember I told you in the beginning that a lot of the friends, we wasn't stationed together on these fobs. So my best friend Curtis that I wear on my wrist, he was at Palawata. I was at Summerall. So it was a little bit down past Spiker on MSR Tampa. He got killed 2 weeks before we got sent home, and he had a daughter that was my best friend. And I didn't understand it at all, but they alerted my battalion and told my colonel, and they came and found me. I just got off a mission. I was sleeping, and they woke me up and told me. I didn't want to believe it. I went to Yahoo Messenger, checked it. It's true. They're trying to call me. And then my colonel, shout out to him, he let us get our trucks together and drive down there to go pay my respects. But it was a pointless, he died pointless, because he was 2 weeks out before we were going home. And I heard that it was an argument between his section, his lieutenant with the FOB, the sergeant major of the FOB, and the sergeant major put them off that FOB to go back to FOB to Anaconda, the main operation base. And, down that road, they took an IED, and he took shrapnel to the neck.
What was his name?
Curtis Wooden. We hung out every day in Germany, in Schweinfurt. And, that's my best friend. He was a lover. He liked to dance. He was the spark of the party. He was about to be a dad. He didn't get a chance to meet his daughter, Kaisha. Shout out to her. She's about to bring a seed into this world. He's about to be a grandpa. I still check on her. I still check on all my guys that passed away, their kids, if they had kids in their family. So Curtis was an excellent, awesome person from Washington all around. Just a man, he was so happy. And I just wish he was here. Coming back from that first deployment was, I was a single soldier. So coming back to the tarmac for my first deployment, we was welcomed back. We had the families there, but the single guys didn't have no families. So we hugged each other, cried. They said they had our rooms with beer in it and some food. We couldn't get our clothes till later. And I just sat there in an empty room, clean, smelled like Clorox, with beer I didn't drink, and just looked up at the sky like, am I still here? And I slept in a cold room by myself for like a week. Didn't talk to nobody. Couldn't understand why my back and all these other guys died. We lost 20-something guys that rotation.
Wow.
We got our butt kicked. But, a lot of the guys that passed away was from countless decisions that we could have changed, I felt, right? So I was angry. I was sad. Um, and that's when Tactical JR picked up. Like I created an alter ego for me because I knew that I wanted my get back. So I needed to go to a unit that was deploying. And guess what? Right after that deployment, I came up on orders to go to Fort Bliss, Texas to get ready for a 15-month deployment. And it was game time. And that was locked in now because I'm going right back. And now I got my get back now. As a kid coming back from my first deployment, it was weird coming back to California because I had a bunch of money. I lost a bunch of friends. I didn't know what to do with myself, and they gave us 30 days of leave to figure things out. Like I said, I wasn't married. I wanted to see my daughter. I was going through transitions with her mom, so I couldn't see my daughter. So that was bothering me. And I had a bunch of money to get rid of, and we would party. We would go out and buy clothes and just be reckless. You know, I'm still a kid, 21 years old. And, you know, I stayed with my mom and my dad and had my little brother. He was a baby, about 1 or 2 years old. So I would buy him stuff, do things for them. But just understanding who I am, it was difficult. But my experience coming back seeing some of the homies, some of their brothers was fully activated and gang banging. So that was weird to see that, but they was about that life. I hung out with them. Did I mix the LA with the military? I had to, because now I was just more dangerous and more observant and ready for anything. So what that done for me was it made me like a super soldier, but in a city where it was gang violence, and I'm not scared of anything. I don't care. Like, if you know, it is what it is. Not because I learned a lot. I saw a lot, and I don't care, and I don't give a fuck. So it's whatever. So I was with everything plus more, but I'm still calm, but I'm still ready to get activated. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
But they would ask me tons of stories, and sometimes it was crazy stories. I'm like, how many people did you kill? I'm like, why are you asking me that? Don't ask me that. I saw a lot. I've done a lot. I don't even know. I'm not counting. This ain't a video game. So I had re-enlisted my first duty station, and I re-enlisted in Iraq because I wanted my get back. Got a bunch of money, and I was going to be a different MOS. I was going to be a combat diver. So they sent me to Missouri, and I went to school there, and I failed that school twice. I couldn't float. My buoyancy, I could swim really good, but I couldn't float. It's just, I don't know if my muscle was too dense, but I couldn't get past the buoyancy level of floating. So once I failed out that school, they sent me back to being a fister, and then got me ready to go to Fort Bliss, which they knew already. Congress knew they starting this new combat brigade of first CAF that they need to get ready in a certain amount of time so they could get ready to go do this mission in Iraq. So a lot of us, when we got to Fort Bliss, it was Fort Bliss is known as 88 Air Defense. It was never known as combat brigades. We was the first combat brigade there, 1st Cavalry Division, a branch off of Fort Hood. So a lot of our seniors never deployed. The kids, we had combat patches, Ranger, all these things. But a lot of our guys that was in charge of us, they were slick sleeve. So even the lieutenants, even the captains. So it's like, you got a bunch of guys that been there, done it, and you got some guys that never done it that's getting ready to do it. So now you having that division at the top where, hey, you let these staff sergeants, the E5s, show y'all what it's like. Because if you don't, and they didn't want to. So when we got there, we kind of got our butt kicked the first couple of months. They started to listen to the E5s and the staff sergeants like us that have been through the fire already. Listen. Because the only way to listen and learn when we got to our second deployment was losing Joes. And I don't want that. I just saw it already, but I'm ready already. I already know what it feels like. I already know the drills. I know we going to Kuwait. I know we doing this. Let me help you get ready, because when you say you're ready, when you get here, you ain't going to be ready. You're not. So listen to us. So I was an E5 going back to my second deployment, and I worked closely with the Sergeant Major. I was part of his personal security detachment. So he picked me, handpicked me to be with him that 15 months to and he was into everything. This man did sit down. He was a paratrooper. He was he was tabbed out. Shout out to Sergeant Major McGee, really good guy, really good mentor. Picked me up from I wasn't being understood where I was at because I had already saw deployment. So my leaders they was warring with me because I had a lot to say. I did, because I said, that's not right. That's not what we do. We do this. And I'm showing them, and such, I'm low rank. They don't want to listen. So he snatched me up, brought me along with him. And I did personal security detachment. And when you think about that, I was his bodyguard. I was with him in his truck, did everything he did, but he was into everything. He'd go out with Alpha Platoon, Bravo Platoon, Charlie Platoon, go here, go here. So we in a mix. I'm talking about every troops in contact. We there, we returning fire. Every ID, we almost getting blown. Like, he into everything. Tony, he's with it. He remind me of a crime boss, the way he talk and precisely and low key, but he is dangerous. I love him to death. You know, he showed me a lot of who I was in my second deployment, and he helped me. Every troops in contact, everything we done, he was right there with me on the line. We shooting, returning fire, ID, hit the vehicle, keep going. You okay? The window cracked, keep going. Like, because he was a TC. So I dismount. So every time he got out, I'm right there next to him. We had a gunner and a driver, our truck. And I heard the stories. I hear him talking. And I'm like, when I become Sergeant Major, I want to be exactly like him, because he didn't give a fuck. He didn't care, but he took care of it. So he loved his battalion. He loved his soldiers, and he was very decorated, but he didn't care at all. You know what I'm saying? So we had some good upper echelon leaders. Sergeant Major McGee, General Tweedy now, but he was Colonel Tweedy back then. He had rumors of leading the tip of the spear in 3rd Brigade, but then when he came to us, he took over the whole division. Really good dude. So all these guys that been there, done that, you know what I'm saying, like, we would link up together. So I was happy to be with Sergeant Major McGee. So this 15-month deployment, we was in Missoula on the dark side. And if you guys know the stories of 07, 08, we got our butt kicked in Missoula with, you know what I'm saying, it was being overran. The insurgents was overrunning the city of Missoula, and that was our AO trying to help out with artillery and on the ground to pound. And probably 6-7 months of that rotation, I lived with on the COP. So that's outside in the city, protecting we took over a house, provide 360 perimeter security, tanks, mortars, infantry, scouts, fisters, living there inside the city, having a city AO presence, running missions, not on the FOB, on a COP. Combat outpost that we took over, we paid. We're going to be here for the next 15 months, and we run combat operations out of this COP right here. So, yeah, it was crazy. We was living like Flintstones out there. So you think you living bad in the FOB, you on a cot. You sleeping with your socks on because you don't know if the camo spiders is here, like it's cold. Like, it's not supposed to be comfortable. We're supposed to be ready for every situation. We are the first line of defense. OE 254 is responding, communicating from that back to the FOB. Just crazy missions, and it took a good group of guys to hold it down. So, yeah. I'm an introvert. So I didn't play dominoes. I didn't play spades. I would be at the gym 24. If I'm not sleeping or mission, I'm at the gym. I'm at the gym, and I will read a lot, and I will try to talk to my kids on Skype. You know what I'm saying? I had Jaylani during that deployment. I left to go to my second deployment October. He was born November. When I came back, he was 15 months. So I would check on his mom, check on him. So now I got 2 kids as a kid, leading kids into combat. So I was very much to myself. I didn't get along with everybody because I didn't want to. I wanted to work out, and the people that wanted to work out with me, we worked out. We fought. We did MMA. We did with everything inside of this gym to keep our minds right. So I was that type of soldier. I checked on my guys. So a lot of my guys were under the age of 21. So I made sure they were good. They play video games. I was never a video game type of person. You could ask my son. You could ask my little brother. Like, I'm not a video game type of person, but I would encourage it as long as it keeps their mind straight and get ready for the mission. I was a loner. Because even in what I was doing in combat, it's not a lot of people that look like me. So I stayed to myself a lot. Also, too, I mean, I say a lot, too, that people didn't know that this second deployment, our packing list was so different. In this packing list, they gave us a body bag with our name on it. And they knew already that it was about to get cracking as soon as we touched down. Why did you issue us our body bag with our name on it? And just in case our limbs got dismembered or we got blown up, we could put it in there and we could ship it back. It was packed. We put it in the trunk in the back of the Humvee. So our packing list, it was in there with us at all times with your name on it. So it was weird. Now that you think about it, it's the same thing concept as our first deployment, driving to Iraq with sandbags on our feet and no doors. Why would you put sandbags? They said it would stop IEDs. Knowing in our mind, we didn't know what it would stop, but I don't think sandbags would stop anything from blowing up if it's going to blow up the whole vehicle. But we knew already what we was getting into. So now the second deployment, you issue us body bags because you know these combat soldiers is really about to get with it. So yeah. And then when my sergeant major went on leave, he went on break, he paired me up with ODA, Special Forces, and I was a gunner for about 2 or 3 months. So I did a lot of high-speed missions that we were doing as a unit anyway, but these were, you know what I'm saying, like in and out. We went out there 12 hours, because some of my missions with the regular drones, 12, 24 hour, 36 hour missions. With these SF guys, we did our rock drill, we did joint operations. We knew our target was, bolo list, what we was going to go get, do what we got to do. They roll, I'm talking about we roll up, spinning, Humvee, get out there, hop out, pull the gate off, the breach, everything. So, you know what I'm saying? It was different levels to it. I'm talking about a second trimester of sleep. Wake up. We here. We got the guns in your face. And I was on a gunner. So I was, you know, heart always beating fast, pulling security, pulling rear, making sure, you know what I'm saying? We had to let Big Bertha go a few times, 50 cal, but you know, I love, our 50s and I love our, what I had 203 rounds. So, you know what I'm saying? I love that too. They handpicked me to be their gunner. So they knew already what type of soldier they wanted, and I looked the part and I was the part. So it wasn't a heavy transition. And you know, I always wanted to be special operations. I was, you know what I'm saying, I dropped bombs and you know what I'm saying, did precision fire, collateral damage, all that is special operations too. Drop.
My bad, y'all. Had to run downstairs real quick. What I missed? Put it in the comments. We back. Let's go.
For the bombs, because it takes a special person to learn that skill set. So they wanted they wanted me with them on the gunner, but if we came into contact, I could use my air assets to help them out too, because I was really good at that too. So it was fun just to see their time on target, see what they had to do, eat with them. They had unlimited protein, unlimited snacks. All their gear was dope. So I got a lot of that stuff. So I felt happy, you know what I'm saying? It was just very difficult. We didn't know we was doing 15 months. We thought we was coming home in 12. And when they told us we had 3 more months and they paid us an extra $1,000 a month, we thought we were getting rich. And that was no money at all to stay another 3 months into the suck. Missing our families, missing our kids. I was a single father again. My first sergeant wouldn't let me come home to see my kid because I wasn't married. It sucked, you know. Yeah, it sucked because I saw everybody go home to see their newborn kids, but he wouldn't let me go because I wasn't married. And in his regulation, there was no army. You can look right now. There's no army regulation saying nothing about single parents or married parents. Let him go home. I had to fight with him. My sergeant major had to fight with him, and it took damn, it's all coming up now. It took a Red Cross message for them to let me go home and see my son. And now I'm mad at the army, and I'm furious because it's like, I'm giving you all I got. I can't go see my son. I know I'm going to die out here. Y'all just extended me. And they would have send soldiers on different Kuwait to Dubai to Qatar for stuff like that. I was never selected. And then when my baby was born, they knew that already. Why send me? You know, I told them, hey, Jelani will be born in November. I left October 30th. I was in country for Halloween. So now I'm telling you he's born. I can't go back. Yeah, it still makes me mad to this day because you had the decision to make that change and you didn't because 1, you didn't like me. 2, you didn't see fit for me going back home because you still needed soldiers on the ground. What if I never made it back? And me in my head, I knew soldiers that never saw their kids. So I'm thinking, I'm never gonna get a chance to see this joker. So I was sick, and that added more aggression to me being angry out there and just didn't give a fuck out there and just doing crazy shit out there to survive and come home. A lot of missions that, you know, they talk about. Like, we were the guys out there. I wish I could tell more, but we were them guys out there that really spun the block and brought it back home.
How were you able to get a Red Cross message out?
Me and his mom came up with a plan of his lip noise was causing him to stop breathing. So she took him to the doctor on post and they sent the Red Cross message. And they couldn't deny it. I was, honestly, I didn't want to come back because that's how I was treated. But I came back on time. I didn't desert. I didn't do anything. It messed me up a lot. It did. I was angry, but I used that anger to survive um, in these crazy times out there in my second deployment. You know what I'm saying? And I was still I was still under the age of 25. So I came back. I was 15 months. I left '06. Came back January '08. My next deployment was 9 or 10. Yeah.
Okay.
And I did another, and that was with 1st Armored Division. And that deployment was even crazier because I had 2 under my belt. People still didn't have none. We're still helping train. And they thought that it was a time that the presidency was, Obama was, he got elected. And a lot of people wasn't happy in the military. And I heard the officers and lieutenants talking crap about him. So I corrected them. And I think it was 6, 7 months into the rotation. They took my weapon, isolated me, said I was mental health. I was going crazy. I rebutted things that y'all was doing that you can't talk about the chief, the president like that. You know what I'm saying?
Boy, that is fucking crazy. We over here in a whole nother country putting our life on the line. And y'all ass is so damn racist that you take this man's weapon and put him in isolation because he stood up for a black man, and you're not supposed to talk about your commander in chief. You're not supposed to talk about your boss. I don't give a damn if it's McDonald's or if the damn military. You're supposed to show that admiration and that respect for your colonel in chief, the top man. That's crazy. Man, we got a problem in this country, I promise God. Sooner or later. Woo! Let's keep going, y'all.
So the commander in chief. So I corrected, and I was isolated, and took my weapon from me. I corrected them, not because he was black, because he's a commander in chief, and they were saying it to a bunch of lower enlisted soldiers. That's why I did what I did. And one of the guys, the lieutenants, he was about to become captain. He was an XO. He already didn't like me, so they all sided with him and gave me a Article 15, took my weapon, and made me do TOC duty for like 3 months. Yeah, I didn't care. I didn't care because I already, this deployment right here that we was on, we didn't get a lot of action. We got action. We did our job, but it's not as the first 2 deployments. But we was out the wire every day. You know what I'm saying? This is 10, 9 and 10. Like it's slowing down. You know what I'm saying? We did what we had to do the first 2 deployments. So if you didn't do anything, you missed it anyway. You know what I'm saying? So this 3rd deployment coming back, I had a series of mixed emotions. I was betrayed. I felt betrayed. I felt like I couldn't trust nobody. I felt like nobody loved us. I felt like everything I did the first couple of deployments, they didn't care. They never checked the facts, the bio. I was just a regular person, and I was middle fingers up to everybody. Yeah, and then I got orders to Korea. Either you go there as a high rank soldier and you leave there as a low rank because of drinking, talking to underage. Girl, all these things that they set you up for, which in Korea, you got curfew. So you have nothing better to do but try to get into trouble. But I just stuck with the plan. I met up with some good guys, Ranger Remy, rest in peace, First Sergeant Josh. And we just worked out and kept each other safe because they got sent for the same reasons. Remy got kicked out of his Ranger bat for something similar, and Josh got sit down to regular Army, something similar. So we just linked up together and kept each other safe. Korea happened to be one of the best things that happened to me because I met a lot of good people that I still talk to today, and I still, they family. Shout out to Ranger Remy. It changed my life because now it took me out of position of always being on the go with combat to garrison. And I was a platoon sergeant for 2-9 Fisters, Manchu, the Manchu Mile. I did the Manchu Mile twice. If you guys never heard about the Manchu Mile, it's very historical. It's just history of the World War I, World War II soldiers that walked a certain amount of distance to get to their objective. And then the Manchu Mile is very strenuous. You know what I'm saying? So whoever completes it, gets a belt. So I did that twice with my guys. And then after that, they transitioned me, a combat soldier, to take over Second ID, Sexual Harassment Prevention Program, SHARP. So I didn't know nothing about that. But I went to the school, got the certification because I'm getting ready to get promoted to E7. And they thought that it was a good idea for combat soldiers to do a switch around. So they switched. I was so good at my job, they made me take over the SHARP program at Second ID. So. An old first sergeant stopped me in division and said, "Sergeant McIntyre, you still in the Army?" I'm like, "Yeah." Sergeant Major Patrick. He said, you should have been done a long time ago." I'm like, "What you talking about?" Like, he's like, "You need to be out of here." So I'm like, he sat me down every day and started telling me about my mental health, asking me questions. And, I would break down crying. He's like, "Something's wrong. Go get help." So he walked me into behavioral health. And that's when the transition happened. I started to recognize that something is wrong with me. I was masking it. And once they hospitalized me, I did 3 inpatient programs, 77 days inpatient, and started to understand that, hey, being strong is saying something is wrong with me. So I started to tell my stories and talk about it and understand who I am and just get it. It was still difficult because, being looked at as, damn, you was this high speed Sergeant McIntyre. Now it's not high speed to talk about your feelings, which it is. And that's what I do now. So I went through all the transitions of all that with the military and then retiring medically and then going to another inpatient hospital visit for 77 days and then going to Costa Rica for ayahuasca and toad and all these things that to better myself to help me get back to where I need to be at. So, oh wow, that was an outer experience, getting all that type of help. First of all, dealing with that and saying that something is wrong, that's the first step. Then going to get help and healing, that's the second step. And then become that, right? So I think I'm at that version where it's okay for me to tell people like me or other people that want to understand it that, hey, you say something's wrong, but you got to go do the work now. You got to do the work. You know what I'm saying? You could talk about it. And I think a lot of us hold on to these stories because it makes us feel some type of way because we don't have no feelings. So when we talk about the stories we're talking about on this podcast, it's like it brings up past and trauma and all these things that you go through and some of the things that you haven't even said out loud. So to talk about that to other combat people or people that say they want to understand you, it's difficult because you wasn't there. I'd rather talk to you because you a Marine, you served and you know combat, but I don't want to talk to other people because they going to ask too many ridiculous questions or stupid stuff. How many people why are you asking me that? And a lot of us that came through that first deployment wave, we hit the gym. So now you looking at my outer, but you don't know what's inside of my inner. You don't know what I've been through. I lost tons of guys. I did a lot of things that I don't talk about still to this day. You think that I was out the wire and nothing was happening to me? Yeah, my dad and them and my grandmother prayers was on me, but we ran the missions the way we were supposed to. We did everything we needed to. We didn't do it without no complaint either.
When did you realize that like your experience in combat was affecting, your mental health?
When I was accepting it, I no longer gave a fuck if I lived or die. I knew I was good at my job. I knew the time was coming, and I knew I wanted a warrior's death, and that was the type of guy I was. So I was just waiting for that time. And when that time never happened, I come home and I lost a lot of good guys. I'm like, why am I still here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Is there anybody out there that can take me out? Like, I'm ready. Like, it's not like I hid inside the wire. I run hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of missions. God's love was just on me, but a guy had a different purpose for me to tell this story behind this screen for the guys, the good guys and girls that never made it back to tell their story. So I knew that I needed to make a change because being a single father, being young, being African American, learning who I am, being dipped in combat, I'm a ticking time bomb. And I knew that if I don't get help, I'm going to tear some stuff up. I think pulling myself out of my rut is doing what I'm doing now and talking about it and making other soldiers think and other military members, men and women, not feel alone. You're not the only one out here doing this. This is what I'm doing now. So the way I started was, yes, I raised my hand to say something was wrong. I got the help. I continued to get the help. Then I went on my journey of ayahuasca, told 3 or 4 times, all these things, and then different modalities, how I use it outside the VA. This ain't the VA. This is me trying to say, hey, if I don't get help, I'm going to destruct. I contemplated suicide 4 times. I didn't no longer want to be here because I got a lot of guys, a lot of good friends that's not here, including guys that came back, that were good warriors, that killed themselves doing suicide. So not only am I battling people that died in combat, people that came back that never came back. So it's like I made my house a safe haven in Florida for veterans that needed help. I started a company that they can work for, and I would send them back. I would send them in Florida to Kaiser University to use their educational benefits. That's how I really got started to be where I'm at now. Now I'm a motivational speaker, top 50 in the world, life coach, a year away from my doctorate in business, got my master's because all the trauma I've been through, I wanted to show the world that veterans is who you need to depend on now because the society is wrecked more than ever. And now I'm on the war against negativity. I just want to speak positive. I just want to help people, bring life to them, help them understand that you can get through this. That's about it. I got a podcast that's called The Motivators Table, the Hood Motivators Table. That's who my AKA is, the Hood Motivator, because of where I came from. But my podcast now is streaming on Apple and Spotify. And shout out to the Los Angeles Tribune for signing me, seeing something in me and seeing my story of survival and wanting to tell it now and get in front of my ugly. So.
And what's your podcast show mainly about?
Just inspiring and motivating and just making people believe in themselves and understand that you have a tribe out here that can help you, you know what I'm saying, and be there for you. You're not alone. It's not only for combat veterans, it's for everybody who's struggling, who has a story, who has adversity, who wants to talk about it, who went through it and what they're doing now and the work. I'm really big on the work. If you're going to talk in front of the camera and you're going to spew out all this messages, you better be doing the work. Find me on Instagram, the Hood Motivator, THA Hood Motivator with the 8, replace the A with the 8. On my YouTube, the same thing. My Instagram on the Motivators Table, and TikTok, same thing. So, and Spotify and Apple, the Motivators Table. And this is I know this is a veterans edition and a podcast, but this is to everybody who's struggling. Just let somebody know that you need help and let's play our part to wrap our hands around each other. And I think the world needs a good set of veterans now just to pull this country back to where it needs to be because there's so much turmoil. We don't have to pick up a gun no more. We don't have to, put on that body armor, but we just got to understand that we can link together. And if you fought for this country, you could still fight for it by having a voice. And this is what you have. You have a voice. And then you need to lock in with me. I'm a life coach. You can DM me, hit me up on LinkedIn, JR McIntyre. We can figure some things out. Go to my website and let me help you. Or if I can't help you, let me point you in the right position to get help. So.
Right on, brother. It's been a pleasure sitting with you, man.
Man, I love you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My bad. There it is, y'all. Hey, hope y'all learned something. We got something out of it. I did. I think it was a pretty dope little conversation. And congrats to that man on finding himself and making himself better and shaking that bullshit off that them other group of people tend to put on us all the time, anywhere, everywhere, and then act like they don't do shit. Something gonna have to change. Anyway, y'all keep rocking with me. Watch one of these videos that pop up, and see y'all on the next one. Peace.